Our class today is closing, and I love closing. This is the one time I will encourage you to memorize, because closing is it. If you can be a great closer, honestly, it doesn't matter during the class if you're not perfect about every product and everything. If you can learn how to close, that can write your ticket for the rest of your career. So it is huge, huge, huge. So make sure. I'm going to tell you certain things to memorize. I honestly cannot stress it enough. That would be one thing I would absolutely do, is to learn how to close and memorize it. Okay. You are closing the entire party. And what I mean by that is, as soon as you get to the front door, as soon as you come in and you thank them and do all that kind of stuff, the very first thing you look for is, where am I going to close at? That is more important than where you're going to have the party. You don't ever want to close near a TV. If a TV's on, like if a husband is watching TV and you've come in and everything, you don't want to close there. You don't want to close near the food, because what does food do? Is people are drawn to food. Everybody likes to congregate by food. So you don't want to close by the food either. So you always want to kind of find a spot. A lot of times I'm in a spare bedroom or a master bedroom. I've closed in all different places, but find a place where you can sit and talk to somebody privately. It's ideal if you can be somewhere where you could stop people from leaving, like you could see if people are leaving, but sometimes that's not always available. But you do need to have privacy where you can talk to somebody one-on-one. So I've actually, when it was cold out, I've even sat with people on a back porch to close them, because the house, there was kids everywhere and people everywhere, so it ended up, that's what I had to do. What do you put near at that closing spot, even at the beginning before the class begins? I put my date book, and if you keep your date book in your phone, that's fine, but make sure you remember to bring your phone. If you need glasses, bring that, bring a pen. If your phone, which nowadays I think most all of them have calculators on it, but you want to have that, have your money bag. Also have your Hostess packets. Hostess packets are like goal setting. If you don't have Hostess packets made up, then you have decided that you're not booking anybody. I book every single person I close, and I'll explain how I do that. But so I always have a lot of Hostess packets, because it's kind of like your own goal setting. So have your Hostess packets. Have a lookbook. I never have it turned to the front of the lookbook. I only have it to the color part, like where it has the color pictures, just in case you need that to pick out colors. I believe that's everything that I have at that place. Or you can do a color chart, whatever's best for you. Okay. When you are doing the opening of a party, and I'm not going to go through everything you say, but I'm just going to kind of give you the things that set up closing. The one thing you always want to mention is, I always kind of give my agenda, the first thing we're going to do is this, the second thing we're going to do is this. Then I always say the last thing, I love this part of the party tonight. What we're going to do is I'm going to meet with each one of you individually. And I love that part, because this is when I get to answer any of those questions that you may have that just pertain to you. Also, I kind of get to help you figure out what's best for you and everything. And so I love that individual time, and where I am going to talk to everybody. Now, don't say where I'm going to close all of you, because to me, that's like insulting, like I'm going to close you, We call it closing, but don't say that to your guests. So where I'm going to talk to you individually is, and I always point to it. Even if it's not visible, I always say, over here in the bedroom over there, I'm going to talk to you individually. And I'll talk to our hostess, of course, last and everything, because she's going to get freebies depending on what goes on today. So definitely I'll talk to her last, but I get to talk to you individually. And if anybody's in a hurry and you have to go fast, I'll take you first. So I've already set that up, and so that they're not surprised. In sales, you never want to have anything be a surprise. You never want to have people sit there and think, well, why didn't she tell me I was going to have to talk to her? Sorry, because people don't like to have anything thrown at them at the last minute. So if you've told them up front, they know that you're going to talk to them individually. They're not surprised. And I always say, I'm going to talk to you one-on-one. So then they're not sitting there going, well, we all want to stay together. You've already said those things. And sometimes when I come in at the very beginning of a class, I will say to the hostess, I need a place to talk to everybody individually. And I'll say to her, you know what, Susie Q, One of the reasons I do this is women don't like to talk about money in front of other women. And so she gets it, and so she can help me too. And I always say, when I start talking to people individually, that's a really good time for you to serve if I see that she has food. Also, if she's going to serve alcohol, I ask her to wait until I am talking to people individually, because you don't want to have people be really, really drunk, because then during the party it can be really awful. So talk about that you're going to talk to them individually. One thing too, at the beginning of the party, I talk about the guarantee, and the reason why I mention this in closing is that guarantee becomes very important for booking. I talk about how Mary Kay is guaranteed, that no matter what, even if they break something, Mary Kay will replace it for them for free. And I talk about that guarantee because it's so important, first of all, to build that rapport with customers so that they know, like, I'm going to have this 32 days and I don't like it, and now the guarantee's over with. No, I talk about how Mary Kay is guaranteed. It's not like they have to have a receipt, they have to have this, so that way they feel like, oh, this is a really good company. But I also use it for booking, so I'll explain that later. Okay, then you go through the party, you sell the sizzle, then you get to the end, and you are going to close them at the individual, or at the party close. And I'm not going to go into that because this is the individual close that we are doing tonight. So I'm not going to go through all that, but a closing sheet is so critically important. So I recommend using a closing sheet. The reason being is, if you just hand people lookbooks, I will tell you your sales will be half as much as me with a closing sheet. The reason why is closing is such an important part of our business, and so you want to have that closing sheet. As at the very end of the party, they have those closing sheets in front of them. I say to them, when you come individually and talk with me, bring, your profile card, your sales ticket, and I always have them have their sales ticket's name on their sales ticket, because then they own it, and they don't like their sales ticket to be blank. And then they're going to bring that sheet with them. Now, during the party, kind of watch who is kind of like, they're just shaking their head, oh my gosh, I can't believe how good this feels, and they're so excited. That's the person you want to start with, because with women, what do women do is when she comes back to the table, they're going to say, what did you buy? So they're going to ask her. So that's why it's so important to have the most excited person go first. I do, however, ask, does anybody have to leave early or get going quickly? Then I'll take them first. Okay, so, but then what I do is, after I figured out who's coming first, the most excited person, I'll say, okay, Susie Q, you're gonna come with me first, awesome. Don't go in order the rest of the way. Then tell Susie, when you come back, will you ask Beth to come? Beth, after you come back, will you ask Kathy to come? Kathy, when you come back, will you ask Linda to come? I tell them specifically because I want them to go in order of excitement. So that helps your sales. Okay. So you've got that going on. If people don't move, because sometimes people say, well, they didn't move and I didn't know what to do. I just pick up their stuff. I say, oh, let me go ahead and help you. Susie Q, let's go ahead and grab your stuff and you'll just come with me. And hey, Mary Beth, go ahead, you can serve that pie you have in the refrigerator. Oh, come on with me, Susie Q, let's just go over here. And that's what I do. And if somebody else is coming with them, I say, oh my gosh, remember I told you I'm going to talk to you individually? I just kind of keep it simple, because my brain, it'll go all over the place if I have too many people. So I'll just keep it simple, and I'll just have Susie Q come at first. I just do it. People will listen to what you say, usually if you act like you're in charge. If you let people run over you, they will run over you. So you just kind of have to learn that. Okay. So then I sit down with Susie Q, okay? Always sit either eye level with her, or if there's one seat higher than the other, then have her sit in the higher seat. It's a psychological thing. Just trust me, just do that. Okay, so I sit down with her and I say the same thing to everybody, and this is what you want to memorize. I say to her, hey Susie Q, did you have a good time tonight? And this is my head. I look like the little Chihuahua dog in the back of the car. It just keeps going like this. So she had a good time. Usually, 99% of the time they'll say, oh yeah, this was fun. Oh, awesome. I'm glad you had a good time. I know I kept it easy. But do you have any questions for me tonight? Because I told them at the beginning, this is so that they could ask me any individual questions. Occasionally you'll get a question. And if they ask you like, do you have this ingredient and this thing, you know, I will say, I will look that up for you and I will let you know. I don't go look for stuff right then. This is something you want to do fast. The reason why people lose sales is they will take a half hour with Suzy Q and everybody else is leaving because they think, oh, if she's going to take a half hour with each one of us. This should be a 5-minute process. And I mean, that is from selling to booking to recruiting them. Okay, so after I said that, you know, did you have any questions? I know I kept it very simple. Awesome. How's your skin feel? And if she doesn't touch her face, because I'm touching my face, I'll say, how's your skin feel? If she doesn't touch her face, I go, no, really, how does it feel? I make her touch her face because I want her to tell me that it feels great, because they will. Awesome, awesome. Let me see your closing sheet right here. Oh, awesome. I see you have stars and circles. That's great. If they don't have anything, I'll say, so you do, your skin feels great, so you love the product. That's what I say. I mean, so no matter what, I am like shaking my head and I'm looking at it, but if there's even 1 star, I'll go, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you love the satin set. So I'm already like talking. So I say to them, so now what sets were you thinking about taking home with you tonight? And I've taken her sales ticket and it's got her name on it and everything. And so then I put my pen on that sales ticket and then I shut up. And this is one of the hardest things for people to learn is don't talk. Let them answer you. You want them to answer you. So you don't sit there and talk. Because if you keep talking, you're losing the sale. So you shut up and wait. And usually she'll ask you, well, how does that payment plan work? Or how do you know? I don't get paid until Friday. Like, be a good negotiator. Be a problem solver. So she says, I don't get paid till Friday, but I think I was thinking about that princess set. Awesome. Cool. Well, let's figure out. You get 4 boxes for that, or were you thinking about getting the repair set? I just ask questions and I start writing. Then I ask one thing, like after she's done the princess set, let's say she says, I'm going to get that, the Time-Wise, you know, cleanser set, the day and night, the microdermabrasion, and then the Serum Plus C. So I'm writing those up. If I have any questions, I'll ask right then. Then I ask one more thing. I say, you know, I know you really love that, when I talked about that eye makeup remover being that bug be gone, did you need an eye makeup remover as well? If she says no, I total it. If she says yes, then I ask her one more thing. Did you need some mascara then? I always ask a question till you get that first no. Then you total it, you figure out your tax, and then you say the total. I never say dollars. If it's like $209, it's $209. I don't say $209. I say $209. Then I look at her and I say, how did you want to handle that? Real simple. People get real funny about money. And I mean, if you went to Kroger's, the grocery store, and sat there and the lady was like, oh, your total, and looked away and acted funny, wouldn't you be like, what the heck is she doing? Why doesn't she just tell me the total? That's, people expect that. But if you act funny, that's when they will act funny. So then I give her a total. I don't suggest a payment plan unless she brings it up. The way I do my payment plans, I get all the money that night. If they're doing checks, they write out the checks, and I would never break it into hundreds of payments, and they only get payment plans if they're buying fairly large amounts. I'm not going to do payment plans on, you know, a $20 sale. No. So what I do is if it's like the 205, then I would probably divide that in 2 or 3 payments total. Now, if you offer 3, they're going to take 3. If you offer 2, they're going to take 2. So don't ever offer more than you want to have it out. But if it's checks, they write me 3 checks for the right amount, and they circle the dates on when I can put them in, but one of them is going in that next day, or if they get paid 2 days later, it's going out in 2 days, but that's how I get all the payments. If it's a credit card, I ask them if it's a debit card or a credit card. If it's a debit card, I run it just like I would the checks. I put the dates down on the sales ticket. Same with the credit card. You know, if it's going to be monthly, then I'm not going to be willing to carry her as many payments. If it's monthly, that we're going to do the payment. So probably just in half. So that's how I write it. Once the sale is finished and she's paid for it, then that goes off the table. I'm not going to leave it on the table because then it's up for negotiation. So that's how I handle that. Then the next question I say is, remember I talked about that guarantee at the beginning of the party? Oh yeah, yeah. And you know you bought that satin set tonight. Even if she just buys that satin set tonight, I'll say, yeah, I need to see you in a couple weeks just to make sure everything's working right and if it feels good and everything. So what's better for you, the beginning of the week or the end of the week? I go right into booking, no matter what. If they don't buy anything, I say, did you know you can earn Mary Kay for free? That's what's so cool. So what's better for you, the beginning of the week or the end of the week? Or I'll say, now this is Tuesday. Did Tuesday work out good for you? Awesome. Then why don't we go ahead and set it up at Tuesday in 2 weeks? Just like a doctor sets you up once he puts you on a prescription, he says, I need to see you in 2 weeks to make sure everything's working right. That's the same philosophy. I book almost everybody with that. I don't have hardly anybody say no. Because once I get it booked, I put her down for Tuesday in 2 weeks to see her because she did the satin set. Then I say, you know, as long as I'm coming to you, you know, Susie Q, why don't you have 2 or 3 friends in, just like Mary Beth tonight. Mary Beth is getting a lot of free product. And I noticed you had the stars on a whole bunch of different things. You could get a lot of that virtually for free. Why don't we go ahead and get your names of your people that you would invite right now? Have her, or hopefully I did the referral game during the party. I say, would you be inviting all these people? Because why not, you know? And then I say, is there maybe a couple more that you'd like to add to this list? These are booking tools as well. So then I've got her list. Okay, so I've got her booked. Then I say, you know, Susie Q, you asked some really good questions when I was doing my iStory. Have you ever thought about doing something like this in your wildest dream? You know, could you ever see yourself doing something like Mary Kay? And then you'll find out objections usually, and that's when you overcome objections. And a lot of times if they're kind of like, I'll say, do you mind if I send you a video? Could you watch it within the next 24 hours? And that way I can give you a lip gloss or lipstick for free, just for watching it. It's like going to take you like 10 minutes. And I'll just call and ask you some questions. Would that be a problem for you? Awesome. Let me go ahead, I'll send you that video right now. And I send it to her right then. So that way you've done everything. You've done the sales, you've done the booking, and then you've done the recruiting. So you've kind of covered all your bases in a very short period of time. Now with my hostess, what I do when I'm closing her, I do the same thing. I do my sales. I a lot of times will rebook a hostess as well. But then lastly, I'll show her everything I sold tonight. And I'll say, this is all the sales. These are your friends and family. And then I'll say to her, we have 6 bookings tonight. You know, that could be the start of your business, or it could be it could be mine. So it's up to you. So she's a very strong recruiting person right then. So this helps you. Please, please learn how to book. Stick to it, do the same thing each time. It should be about 5 minutes each person. You keep it moving, and that way your sales will be great, your bookings will be great, and your recruiting will be great. Thank you guys.